But I do want to just share a few very brief thoughts. First, I want to thank the speakers that have participated today in this first Yeutter Symposium. We had a great panel earlier this afternoon. I didn't know, Darcy, you were going to become ambassador to New Zealand, but it worked pretty good. So great panel, and then obviously Brian and Andrea and Ambassador Yeutter here in the Heermann Lecture. Please give them all a round of applause for a wonderful program. Last night, the speakers for the symposium gathered for dinner and a little bit of a chance to socialize and to talk about the day, a little bit of a chance to reflect on Clayton Yeutter and on the Yeutter Institute and the standing up of this new and we believe very exciting and dynamic opportunity for students and for the University of Nebraska. And Governor Ricketts was there. So he came along with, I think it was mentioned earlier, Steve Wellman, our new Director of Agriculture for Nebraska, joined us for the evening. And Governor Ricketts and I have been having some interesting conversations lately, as you might guess. But I said to him pretty early in the course of the evening, something that just got repeated here, in the Heermann Lecture in the last hour and a half. And it went something like this. We all recognize, in Nebraska particularly, Iowa might say the same thing, Illinois might say the same thing, Indiana might say the same thing, how dramatically important trade is to agriculture in this state. I don't imagine there is a single individual in this room who would debate that point. When almost a third of your production goes somewhere else outside of the borders of this country as product, then it's obvious the importance that trade has to the economy of this state when you consider that ag is the single largest contributor to the GDP of the state of Nebraska. Right? So we get it. We understand that. And I said to the governor, I said, given the last few weeks and just given following what's been occurring in the conversations about trade and given the aluminum and steel, kind of heavy weight of that conversation that's occurring out there currently, I said, I would be willing to bet, Governor, that you understand the benefits of trade to the state of Nebraska. But I said, I'd also be willing to bet that those benefits are not very well articulated or attributed was the word I heard here earlier from Brian, attributed to the general citizen, right? And that's a huge challenge that we have. This focus of this panel in the last hour, the Heermann Lecture, I think brought that to light very, very clearly. We can't underestimate the importance of that. And I followed that by saying, Governor, you and I would be having a much more deep discussion because the discussion would be a lot worse about our budget if trade fails. That's kind of the gravity of the moment that we live in. So, I don't think that I'm going to go on a little bit of a limb here, Christy, and say this to the Yeutter family. There's a number of them here with us today. 3 years ago, on National Ag Day, we had the opportunity to tribute former Secretary and Ambassador Yeutter. There was a video that was made, and Darcy, you were part of that video production. And we debuted it in Washington with our friend Sarah Wyant of AgriPulse Communications on March the 20th, I believe it was, almost 3 years to the day here in about a week, about the impact that Clayton had primarily on trade, primarily on the development of trade around the world for agriculture especially, but much broader than that in his remit and his portfolio. So this opportunity that we've been given here, now about an $8.5 million endowment that has been put in place to fund the Yeutter Institute for International Trade and Finance moving forward, is a huge gift for the future of our university and of our state. And I just wanted to publicly thank Christy. There are several of the Yeutter children here, two sons sitting up here who are with us as well today for that gift and for the opportunity that we're going to have to continue this conversation in such meaningful and important ways. And with that said, last thank you I'm going to make is it's always good to see my friend Keith Heerman, who is always here for the Heerman Lectures, and to see this First Yeutter Institute have a connection to the Heerman Lectures is a very special thing, Mike, and appreciate everything you've done for the university as well. Now go drink, solve the problem. The solution is in the room. Go solve the problem, and thank you for being here. Thank you, Darcy.